What's up, guys? Live here at Pro Play Games. So, as many of you know, the new Banlist Forbidden Limited List dropped this Monday from Konami. Kind of an emergency hit on Spirals, which was become a problem after dominating the last two YCSs and really mitigating people from playing the game. So, they acted swiftly, which props to them, and they really watered it down, kind of like they did with Zodiacs at the beginning. Made it still playable and dominant. I think it's still one of the most dominant decks. Unfortunately, due to our Gaze tournament, we had like 7 of the top 8 Spirals, and then my deck. So it's still very powerful, but it's a lot less consistent, and it kind of opens up the gap for people playing other decks. Hopefully people play other decks. I think it's only very dominant now because everybody still has the Spiral cards, and you kind of don't want to throw away all the money that you invested into it. So a lot of the top players are still going to play it, even though it does have a lot of good combos that it can still utilize, but there are decks that were made more viable because of the hits. So this is one of the examples and one of the takes that you can take on, you know, some of the ideas that you can use with the new list. It didn't really give us too much; it just limited the power of the existing deck. So I chose to play another 60-card deck. Surprise, surprise! My favorite. I love playing 60-card decks because they give me so many more options to go and do what I want to do, and it also gives a lot of fluidity with the side deck and stuff. And when you play bricks, you don't see them as often, so it kind of spreads out those hands. It gives you a little bit of variety and you know, ceiling. So I played Shiranui, Solitaire, Zombie, Lightsworn, I guess you call it, 60-card, of course. So the first card I played, obviously, God card Maxi. You have to play it in every deck. Not really an explanation there. Next card is Orbital, Hyalandra. This, you guys, you've heard it on my deck profiles, but this is honestly one of the best cards, I think, printed. It reads if you control 5 different monsters in your graveyard at least, so you can control, you know, 10 different monsters in your graveyard, or, you know, 6. As long as the minimum is 5 and they're all different names, you can special summon this card for free. That means if you have 2 or 3 of them, you can special summon all of them. It's kind of like a JD. It's got 3,000 attack, so it's kind of like got the JD type attack. And it could push for game, so it's a heavy beat stick. And the whole reason we play it is because it's very easy to manipulate the graveyard, so it's really easy to bring this out, especially when you start milling yourself. And it has a quick effect, which means during your turn or your opponent's turn, you can mill 3 cards from the top of your deck. And as long as the monsters in your graveyard remain all different names, then you can destroy 1 card on the field. So you can destroy any card on either side of the field, and you can do it once during your turn or once during your opponent's turn, and it mills you on top of that. So it gives you more fuel for your Fairy Tale Snow, it gives you more fuel for anything. I really can't speak more about this card, and it's just fantastic in this deck. And it's a dark, so it's kind of relevant as you'll see later on. 3 of the third God card in this deck. I really considered 3 different God cards in the deck, and these are, you know, some of them. Fairy Tale Snow, obviously no explanation or introduction needed, but it really helps manipulating your graveyard, especially when you're playing 60 cards. You have a bunch of fuel for making this as useful as possible at all times. The Giant Rex, it is, you know, the dinosaur that is Fairy Tale's best friend. As soon as it gets banished, it gets special summoned. So it's really good to you know, extend your plays, make a Amaterasu, make her Minerva, etc., etc. But fantastic card. Also, if you banish it off, Left Arm Offering, thing that a lot of people don't know, special summon it. Trick Clown, this is probably one of the first cards that I would cut in the deck. It's a little bit better with a Brilliant Fusion Engine, but I decided not to go with that. But it still is a really solid level 4, and if it's still under your creature during an XYZ and they don't get rid of it like a Minerva, next turn you get a little bit more pressure and a little bit more momentum, because you could discard it the next turn since it's only once per turn, and then bring it back again and make another rank 4 play. So pretty good. Because we are still playing in a Spiral dominated meta game, unfortunately, we are still main decking the Kaijus. This is different from my other lineup of Kaijus because first, you want the Gamma Seal because it's the weakest one, so you always want to give this to your opponent so you can run it over. And then I chose with 2 Raidens instead of 2 other ones because this is a dark, and, you know, I'll explain why, you know, darks are so good in this deck. We play some hand traps here. We play the I guess you want to call them the Blossom Sisters, or whatever this theme is that Konami's doing. But they are both the zombie tuners, which is significant because this is a zombie deck, and you can Mizuki them out, and they're level 3s, so you can make level 7s, which is primarily what our deck is, focused around, as well as this being a dark, so one of the things that we're going to mention on later. But hand traps are significantly good right now because spirals are so fragile that if you hit them once with this, they could get devastated, and it's going to be very easy pickings from then. You have a little bit more time to, start out. Even if you don't start out ideal, you can gain a momentum and you can just outpower them. And then Ash Blossom, obviously a mandatory card in every deck. Next is the Zombie Engine. We went with 3 Solitaires, which is just a lone fire for any zombie with 0 defense. So your options are the Shiranui Spirit Master, which is also got 0 defense, and which we play 2 of, and Unizombie, which is one of the best cards in the entire deck, which both have 0 defense. So these are both your go-tos. This, if it gets banished, you can destroy any card on the field, so it's very good with Fairy Chill Snow. Also, anytime you banish this, also Left Arm Offering, you destroy a card on the field. And Shiranui Solitaire is also very good because when it gets banished, you can special summon a Spirit Master from your banish zone too. So if you banish these 2 together, they're best friends. They work very well, and you can get multiple triggers off those cards. Unizombie is just what the enabler to the whole deck. It's usually used to send Mizuki, which is one of the star players in the entire deck. Something that you always want in the graveyard so that you can extend your plays. You don't want to use them immediately. You always want to have them chilling in the graveyard, and for later use, or if you really need to pump out another level 4 for your Matarasu, which is crucial in this deck. Then you have that access, you have that tool. Unizombie also becomes a level 4, so you can use it for not only XYZing, but you could also use it for Synchroing, which is usually the Omega play. Some other graveyard extenders that we're playing are Destrudo and Glow Bulb. Now, Destrudo's a dark, which, I'll touch on why darks are so significant in this deck. And Glow Bulb is because when you make level 7s, which is why we play Destrudo for Ancient Fairy and Black Rose and things of that nature, Michael, then you can easily Glow Bulb the level 7 after you get the utility out of it and be able to go into something that will give you an added, something else to go into. And it's, just level 1. You could also use it for linking, which is pretty good. If you don't have access to a Synchro, you always have an extra monster to link into, like if you need to go into a Borlo Dragon or something like that. We're still playing the Lightsworn package because of this card. The only reason why we still play Lightsworns is because this card says mill 3, and milling 3 and getting a card is, one of the best things in this game for sure. We also play the Solar Recharges. Now, I've always been between 3 and 2 in this deck. A lot of people ask me why not 3. It's just, I feel like every time I see this card, I don't have a Lightsworn, which is really crazy. But, that's part of the acceleration in this deck, the Solar Recharges, coupled with one of the reasons why we play so many darks. This is the reason why Allure of Darkness is very good at getting cards that you don't really need in your deck, in your hand, out of the way, and able to search for your big bombs, cards that your opponent needs to ash. Also, these are very tempting cards to ash. You want to ash a card that says draw 2, always. You want to ash this, you want to ash Charge of the Light Brigade, you want to ash a Pot of Desires. Like, these are all cards that you want to ash. So if your opponent doesn't ash it, your game state will advance, and it's only a ticking time bomb, and only a matter of time before you start hitting the ultimate god card in the entire deck, which is the Grasslook Screener, which we play technically 4 copies of, because this card just searches the Grasslook Screener from your deck. So it really puts your opponent on a, better interact with me now. And because ash is only once per turn, all they have to do is ash once. Once you see that ash, then you can go and set up your your grass plays. Now, this deck doesn't particularly need grass to win. This is just an extra win more card. I think if you resolve this, you automatically win this deck. It's a little bit different from when I played Infernoids. When you played this card, you didn't automatically win. It's more of like a grindy game with Infernoids. You're just pretty much making it so your opponent, it's a little bit harder for them to play, and you just slowly, cripple their resources in order, and then out-resource them with your graveyard. But the good thing is that Left Arm Offering doesn't have only one target in this deck. You have Soul Charge, which is a very powerful card in this deck because a lot of them can be normal / special summon, not like Infernoids. I couldn't play Soul Charge in that. So a Soul Charge play can be devastating. A Foolish Burial, believe it or not, can be devastating at times, but just by getting the snow into the graveyard so that you can make all your graveyard enablers that need something to get banished, like Hylandra to manipulate your graveyard, or banishing Shiranui Solitaires or any of the Shiranuis, or banishing a Giant Rex to get 2 level 4s and then go into a level 4 for Amaterasu, are all things that can happen. As well as Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, which is a board wipe. So you have a lot of versatility with this Left Arm Offering to get multiple different ways to attack your opponent, and not always beyond the grass plan. So there's a lot of options in this deck, which is really why I chose this over the Infernoids, and it's been working out pretty well. Now, I played 2 Twin Twisters because you need to interact with the Spiral Resort. The Spiral Resort can spell out a lot of problems for you because it gets their engine going, and it protects their spirals. So it protects it against my Fairytale Snow and my Shiranui trying to destroy their monsters. Shiranui can pop the resort, but then the snow, when it comes out, it won't have time to target something because Spiral's still technically, the resort is still technically up. So Twin Twister's good going second, just setting it so when your opponent, activates Spiral Resort, you can activate it. Or if they have any type of back row, sometimes they set in Solemn Strike and stuff like that. And then Upstart Goblin as our 60th card, just because, Patrick Hoban. No, but really, this is, it makes it an easy side out most of the time, and some really bad players will, believe it or not, ash this card. So that's pretty much all 60 cards for that. The extra deck, we played 2 Omega. I can't find the other Omega. I borrowed it. I still can't find one to this day. It's very hard to find. But Omega's usually your go-to level 8 synchro. You mostly always want to say there's a 1-card Omega in this deck. It's Shiranui Solitaire, tributing it for Unizombie, sending Mizuki banishing it, special summoning her to the Solitaire, and then synchroing it into Omega. And then during your opponent's turn, you put the Mizuki back, and then you hit a card from their hand. So a very good card, a go-to level 8. The only level 8 that we actually play in the entire deck. We played Trishula because Glow Bulb. Glow Bulb has extra utility. That's not the whole point why it's there, but we had a lot more extra deck space, which is why we didn't want to play Brilliant Fusion either, because you had so much more flexibility with the extra deck, which is very important. So a Fairy Tale Snow and a Glow Bulb will automatically come out to this, usually because you'll have a Shiranui or a Giant Rex to get you 2 level 4s off 1 effect. The level 7 package is Michael, Black Rose, and Ancient Fairy. Black Rose very good at clearing boards against pendulums, especially. Just dominate them because they commit so much to the board. You just easily just blow it all away with 1 summon. And then it has extra utility because you can actually go for game if you banish a Glow Bulb and make their attack 0 or defense 0, and then switch it to attack mode. The Ancient Fairy Dragon gives you the ability to pop a Spiral Resort or anything like that, and also gives you added utility because you can actually normal summon again. So if you have like a Glow Bulb in hand, you can summon it and then make a level 8, and then bring out the Glow Bulb and Link or whatever you need to do. Ancient Fairy gives you that extra normal summon, so it's kind of like playing Brilliant Fusion with the Seraphonite and giving the extra summon, but it doesn't commit too much inconsistencies to the main deck. So I really like that choice. And then Michael, the Arc Lightsworn. This is extremely good in this deck because it mills you for 3 at the end phase, so it's something that you can end on comfortably. It also banishes, so it gets around a lot of spirals that can be destroyed by battle. When they're destroyed, blah blah blah, this banishes them, so you don't have to worry too much. And it's any card, so it could be a face down monster, it could be a spell or trap, any other spell or traps that get effects. That's very good against them because it'll usually not trigger them. For the rank 4 monsters, we only play 3, and it's double Minerva because you normally go into at least 1 Minerva, sometimes 2, and you actually hit a lot of Lightsworns in this deck. One of the reasons why we play Lightsworns, because you can actually get a lot of triggers off this card. And then Amaterasu is single-handedly the best card in the whole entire extra deck. This is the whole reason why you're really playing this deck, because you can consistently summon this card. This card usually is game when you summon it, because if you have a snow coupled with this, which is usually the only way that you can bring this out, so snow makes this, it gives you options because you banish whatever you want. So you banish a hand trap, and then you banish something that you would like to normal summon or special summon from your banish. So normally you'd like banish a Unizombie, banish an Ash, then special summon the Unizombie, then send a Mizuki, then go into an Omega, hit their hand, then on their turn detach and add the Ash or the Cherries or the Ghost Ogre from the side deck. Anything like that. It just makes it for an amazing card. Also, you can add back a combo piece so that on your turn you can do it again, or whatever you need to do. Amaterasu just gives you such a high ceiling in this deck. It's one of the main reasons why I played a 60 card deck in the beginning. But Inferno is just a little bit harder to bring this out. It was much easier when we had Zodiacs and we were able to play Bujin I forgot what it's called. The Bujin normal monster that you can upgrade Kagetsuchi into. And that's one of the main reasons why we play this. And then for the Link lineup, we have a few different options here. This is here for Cherries, obviously. We don't go into that. We don't play that. This is the only two that we play, Link 2, and then these are the Link 3s. They just open up zones. Sometimes you want to open up the bottom zone, or you want a bigger beater. Usually this is going to be the biggest beater that you get. But Borreload's our go-to for. I had Firewall, but I didn't really see myself utilizing it at all or using its potential. So I think this is just much better. It could get over Masterpiece, and it's just a beater, and it could take your opponent's cards and give them a bad time. So that's pretty much it for the entire extra deck, and that's 15. And then last but not least, we have the side deck, and the side deck was kind of I don't know. It probably needs improving, but you have the Go Second cards here. Other options for left arm offering as well. We played one more Kaiju, round out to 4 Kaijus if we ever needed the 4th going second. Gofu, which I really never sided in. I mean, like, in theory, it's good going second because it's another special summon that your opponent has to react to so that you can play with the rest of your deck. But I never really drew this. I mean, it's a 1 in a 60 card deck. Drawing it, going second, chances not very high. And then we play 3 more hand traps to help us go second against the Spiral deck. So if they resort, like I said, resort is the main thing that you don't want them resolving turn 1. They can do whatever they want on their turn, but that's one of the main things that you don't want them to do, because you don't have, I mean, even if they end with double helix and some advantage, I mean, it's not that bad. You can just kaiju them, but Ghost Ogre will really make them go set 3 pass or something, which is what you want them to do. 2 more going first cards. Imperial Order and Skill Drain. This deck can play without effects resolving on the field. They just have to resolve in the graveyard. So Skill Drain is very good. Very hard to get around as well. They have to... I don't even think they could Super Agent. Yeah. And then this is supposed to be ABC Buster Dragon for Cherries. Another Cherries target. Another Cherries target. Another Cherries target. Another one. And another one. And this one is... I forgot which one. But... yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck. I mean, like I said, the side deck, this could be literally anything else. This was just I wasn't sure what else. Like I said, you have so many things that you really can't take out from the main deck sometimes because you want to execute your strategy. So a lot of the time I don't like siding in too many things, and these are primarily the ones that I always found myself needing, except for Gofu, not too much. But other than that, I felt like I wanted to make sure I covered ground on all the other matchups as far as what I might see. But that's pretty much it. And this was a 35 person case tournament, which we ended up running a Wednesday night, which surprisingly got a lot of people for a Wednesday at 7 p.m. So shout out to everyone that actually came out to the tournament. We had a lot of big names. Kamal made top 8 and a few others, but they played Spirals. I wasn't sure. They also didn't want us to reveal their deck list because they're testing very hard for the next YCS in Cali. But as you know, I don't really much care. I just want to make sure that there's more diversity and let you guys know that there is other decks that you can be playing, especially in this format where Spirals may seem like they're still very strong, but there are other options. So yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, and hopefully see you at YCS San Diego. I'm really excited to see you guys again. and you know, hopefully take something similar like this, or maybe Infernoids back to San Diego, and hopefully bring back another giant card. You know, crossing my fingers. But thank you guys again for watching, and make sure you stay subscribed. Thanks again.